Good evening, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm feeling a bit better. Had a rough couple of days. Felt pretty sick, and go through a lot of pain. But feeling better now. Thank God. Praise the Lord. But I just came on. Thought I would do a little video about what I've been doing lately. I was watching the World Cup last night. I watched Colombia play Switzerland, and it was a great experience. And I just want to talk about that a little bit. And I watched a couple games. Like, I've been watching the tournaments sporadically up until this point, but I wasn't really very pleased with most of the games. It just seems like there's a lack of maybe it's the fans. Maybe it's the fact that the tickets are so expensive now, the inflation. You're not getting the real passionate, loud fans in there. Because for some reason the games just feel a little sterile. It's like prevent football. When teams are afraid really to take risks to win the game, and so you mostly end up just with this very hyper conservative play that can be kind of boring, very boring to watch. And that's been my kind of issue with it so far. That's why I haven't really been watching it as much as I thought I would be. And like I said, it could have something to do with the inflation, the ticket prices. Because what I noticed about football matches and other sporting events is the best ones you get are the ones where the fans are getting the players going from the beginning. They're spurring them on with the noise and the energy and the atmosphere. It really that makes for the best games, the best matches, no matter what the sport is. If it's spectated, when the crowd is rowdy and up and full of life and energetic, that can get to really increase the quality of the play, of the matchup. But when the players are, when it's the opposite way around, when the players are trying to get the fans going, the crowd going through their play, through their action, that's always the worst kind of games. They always end up being dull, stale affairs, because I don't know why it's like that. I guess it's just there's so many more fans that if you get their energy going, it can really pour into the players or the competitors, and it just makes for such a better contest. But when the players and the competitors are trying to get the fans going, quite often it's a dull affair, and it shouldn't really be that way anyway. The fans should be excited enough to be there, but I just feel like maybe the atmosphere is not what it should be because of the inflation and the ticket prices. You're getting mostly just people who are maybe not as passionate. They're just people who can afford it now, But anyway, either way, the game last night was really good. It wasn't super exciting. It was kind of a battle of attrition, and it went right down to penalty kicks. But it was intriguing nonetheless, just to watch how things played out, the strategies and how effective they were. And I really kind of actually fell in love with the Colombian team in a game they played previously. I can't recall who it was they played. Oh, it was Portugal. Yeah, I fell in love with them watching them play Portugal, just because they really humiliated. Was it Portugal? I can't remember exactly who they played, but it was some European team they played before this match with Switzerland, where they kind of humiliated them with their physicality, with their desire, just with that Latin American passion, And it was like watching boys play against men. They were just bouncing off the European players. They were bouncing them to the ground. They were just out hustling them, out grinding them, and it was just beautiful to watch. It was like men and boys, and I was like, man, I love this Colombian team, man. They got something special, spirit. They got a special spirit. And the same it was with the match last night against Switzerland. They were so physical. They showed so much heart. And they just, how can I describe them best is they're all in for the cause, Of all the teams I watched in the tournament so far, the Colombian team was just so all in for the cause, But unfortunately, they came up against the Switzerland team, which was just extremely well coached from a defensive perspective. They just had a great system for defending. Like, their system of defense was very efficient, energy efficient, in comparison to Colombia's. Like Colombia, they were defending effectively, but it was basically through their effort, through their desire, through their determination, that they were able to contain Switzerland and keep them from scoring. But it was costing them a lot more energy to defend that way. Whereas if you looked at the way Switzerland defended, they were very energy efficient because they seemed to just have a very effective defensive system in play, So they were just very well coached, and it was more energy efficient to defend that way. They weren't having to work as hard. They were working better together, cohesively, defensively, to stop Colombia. And so they were conserving more energy. And I knew that would work out in their favor eventually in the match. And Switzerland, I was impressed with their system defensively and their coach, how well they were coached. But I was very disappointed in the spirit of how they played. Like, they really did not try to win that game whatsoever. It was the spirit was wrong. It wasn't in the spirit of football, of sports. It was a poor sportsmanship spirit. It was kind of like, just win by any means. Don't try to do anything spectacular, but just try to win by any means. Prevent football. Like I said, it rubbed me the wrong way. It's like so many teams are playing this way now. It's like it's the European style, where you just lock down everything and maybe look for a draw or a 1-0 or win on penalties, and it just makes for a very boring affair, and it's not a courageous spirit, that just sits back and defends. It's not a courageous way to play, and to me it's I don't know, I just don't like it, personally. I prefer the style where the teams that play both equally well on both ends of the field, and they're equally committed on both ends of the field, and they have the courage to attack and take risks and have faith that in their ability, going forward. I don't like the teams like there was a team, I think this whole style started with the Euros a while ago, probably about 10-15 years ago. Greece were playing this style in the Euros, and it was very boring to watch, and people were complaining about it at the time, but it's since kind of become normalized, and accepted that you can just play on one end of the field basically, and not try to win, but just try to outlast and trying not to lose. Like I said, I would call it prevent football. It can be effective, but it's poor spirited, I believe. Is anyone excited to see Switzerland play again? Other than the Swiss people, but I would very much doubt that anybody else would be excited to watch them play again. Because I think they had 2 shots on goal the whole match, one in the first, one in the second. They really were not trying to score goals. They were not trying to win that match. It was just stopping Colombia from trying to win, stopping Colombia from playing. And like I said, it's efficient, it works, and I was impressed with their togetherness and their cohesiveness on the defensive end. But I don't understand why they can't apply them same principles going forward, you know. And in the case of Colombia, they were trying, you know, they had the right spirit. They were trying to win the game. They were trying to score goals, but unfortunately, they don't have any real goal scorers on the team, is what I noticed. They don't have any strikers at all. You know, they just were constantly missing the target, and you know, I felt bad for them because they were doing everything really they could do. They were just short-handed. They didn't, like I said, no striker, no player that looked like a striker out there to me. No one to bring off the bench, and yeah, it just left them up Shit's Creek without a paddle. But you can't falter their effort. You know, they really did try with all their might. And if I contrast that to how Brazil played when they got eliminated in the last match against Norway, it's just chalk and cheese. You know, it was the Brazilian team just looked so languid and lazy and uncommitted and just poor-spirited, you know. And to contrast that with the Colombian team, it was just like chalk and cheese, you know. And I'm disappointed with Brazil, you know, with the Brazilian team and the way they play, and just the lack of commitment and desire and integrity, and definitely they're not all in, you know. They're definitely not all in, you know. They leave a lot. They don't leave it all on the pitch, you know. They leave a lot in the tank, is what it looks like to me, and it's disappointing, you know. But you know, I love the Latin American style of football. You know, that's the original flair. Like, courageous, you know, Maradona getting forward, you know, and even if people are fouling you and hacking you and all this, trying to bring you down, you ever see Maradona? I never once seen Maradona throw himself on the ground and complain to the referee about being fouled or hacked. No, Maradona got his ass up and he just kept going, you know, and they tried to kick the legs off that guy, you know, and he just got it, man, you know. Nothing was gonna stop him, nothing was gonna deter him, you know. He would just out physical, however you want to play, he would just outplay them that way, you know. And it's sad that the players today, they don't have that same spirit, you know, that just get forward by any means. And you know, you don't complain to the referee about how the game's, like a couple of times I watched right in the match that there were players that when they felt they were fouled, they would instantly fall onto the ground, you know, potato sack themselves on the ground, and then they'd start complaining to the referee, throwing their arms out, and the referee never really entertained it, in fairness to him. I was really impressed with his officiating, and he didn't entertain it. But then there were some other players that were trying to dribble forward and they were getting fouled, but they didn't stop. They just kept trying to work through the contact. And then if they got past their man, and then another guy came along and started grabbing them and fouling them. And they didn't stop. They just kept trying to play through the contact, and they got the whistle. And that's what I noticed, and that's the way it should be, is that, you know, yeah, of course you shouldn't be able to just mug guys when they have the ball. You know, that should be penalized. But at the same time, this is not a no contact sport. It's a minimal contact sport, but there is some contact, you know. And to take that out of the game, it really just robs. It detracts, it subtracts from the spirit of the game, you know. And I like the way the referee was officiating it. You know, if you want justice, keep fighting for it. You know, don't just throw in the towel and complain to daddy and the officials. You know what I mean? Like. So I like that, you know. When you keep working, you get the foul. Then you earn the foul, you know. Plus, it's tremendous to watch someone, you know, just be so determined to just keep going, even if someone's fouling them. Just doesn't matter. You're not gonna stop me. I don't believe that you can stop me, you know. And like if you can't dribble the ball with someone like grabbing you and hounding you, then you can't play football. You know what I mean? Like. I don't care if you can do all these crazy dribbling moves when there's no one around. What's the point? The whole point of doing a move with the ball is to get space. So what's the point in doing a move when there's no one around you? Like, as far as I'm concerned, if that's the only way you can dribble and play, then you can't play football. I don't know what it is you're playing, but it's not football. Maybe it's futsal, or something like that. But football, you got to be able to. If you can't dribble past players and you can't dribble with the ball through contact, then you can't play football. As far as I'm concerned, you know what I mean? Because that's part of the game. And I think the guys, they could benefit from developing their upper body strength a bit more. They might be a bit bottom heavy, the modern day player. They don't use their arms and their torso to shield contact, shield the defender off, and so you can dribble the ball. I think they need to get back to doing that. But when you think about the spirit of football, the game, where did it originate? And I'm gonna fill you in on it right now. Football was a game that was, the modern day game is different from the original creation. But where did the original creation come from? It was in Central America, from the Central American civilizations. The Incas, the Olmecs, the Aztecs, the Maya. These guys, they were big on taking prisoners of war and making basically integrating them into their society. Turning them to their side. Like, they didn't believe in just killing and wasting potential, but then they were also into sacrifice and stuff like that, right? So, but basically, right, when they captured soldiers of the enemy, they would give them an opportunity to win their freedom. And so they would how could they win this freedom, their freedom back after being captured in war, was through games, contests, mostly ball games. And so the game football as we know it today, there was a group of guys who were captured. Their arms were tied because they were prisoners of war. Their arms were tied behind their backs, and they played against another group of guys who were in the same circumstance. And the group that won the contest, that won the match, they won their freedom. And the other group, they didn't get their freedom. They were likely to be integrated into the army, the Inca, Aztec, Olmec army, or else they were to be sacrificed to the gods, the Inca, Olmec, Aztec, Maya gods. So that's the original invention, because all ball games come from Central America, because there was no rubber trees outside of Central America. That was the birthplace of the rubber tree, and they used the rubber from the tree to make the ball. So all ball games originate from Central America, from the Golden Crescent. And so the reason why they used their feet and their knees and their shoulders and their chest and their head, but they didn't use their arms, was because, like I said, they were prisoners of war, and so their arms were tied. So that was the spirit of the game. So if you think of that, if you want to honor the ancestry and the original spirit of the game, you have to play like your life is dependent upon victory. Your freedom is dependent upon victory. You have to be completely all in and just completely committed. Just imagine, like, if you were in one of them ball games, in one of them scenarios where you were literally playing a game to win your life back, your freedom back, your liberty. Like, could you imagine someone on your team like felt like they were getting fouled and throwing themselves on the ground, letting the entire team down by being a man down, having to defend with one man on the ground while he's pretending to be hurt because he wants to get a free kick or something, or he wants, you know what I'm saying? Like, that guy right there, the whole team would turn on that guy and send his butt off the pitch because, like, yo, we're playing for our lives here. You know what I mean? Like, there can't be no bullshitting, you know? You got to be all in, you got to be committed, you know? You got to be willing to go through it all for us, you know? That's the spirit of the game, and I know now today, thank God, we don't have to play in that spirit anymore. But if you want to honor the game, you have to honor the ancestral heritage of the game. You have to play in the original spirit of the game. And like I said, the original spirit of the game is just all in, completely committed. Give me everything you got. And just no victimhood, you know? No victimhood, pure meritocracy, you know? Nothing is taken, everything is earned. And it's a beautiful spirit when you really think about it, you know? To see people work together in such commitment, there is a beauty to it. Even though it was a savage thing for people to have to go through. But if you want to honor the game will honor you. The ancestors, the spirits of the game will honor you, and you'll be successful, you know? I feel like the team that plays the closest to the original spirit of the game is the team that will succeed the most, you know, in the end. And like I said, it's just disappointing. There's so many teams today that don't play that way, you know. They don't honor that spirit, you know. They go out there and they try to win the easy, sleazy way, and you know, leave fuel in the tank. And what would we call it? In the Bible, it speaks about something that calls it holding out. You know, it says no holding out. Don't hold out on me. And that means basically like give me everything you have, you know, and I'll give you everything I have. And that's the way that works the best, you know, in any kind of cooperative affair. Is if I give you everything and you give me everything, like everything goes into the pie, that makes the best pie, you know what I mean, guys? But if somebody is like holding out, you know, they're giving you 60% or 50% or 70%, you know, they're cheating everybody and they're cheating the pie, and you know what I mean? It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work that way, you know? It doesn't work as well that way. So there's a lot of the people today, there's the players today, the teams today, the culture of the game today, there's a lot of holding out, you know? And that's disappointing, you know? But there was certainly no holding out in that Colombian team last night. You know, them guys gave everything they had, and it was beautiful to see. They honored the spirit of the game. Unfortunately, like I said, just didn't have the talent they needed to get over the line. And the Swiss, very clever, very crafty, very intelligent, and yeah, they earned their victory. But like I said, who's excited to see them going forward? I doubt anyone who's not Swiss will be that excited to see them play again, since how they don't really attack at all. But it was good, man. Maybe the World Cup will finally start to heat up. I'm excited to watch again. I'm gonna watch more games tonight, and I'll report more on them tomorrow. Taking a little break from the heavy religious stuff. I did 30 days straight, so now I'm going a little bit lighter. I'm gonna speak on entertainment and fun and games. I'm gonna LL Cool J. I'm gonna live light like Cool J, you know. And I'm feeling good, guys. So, like I said, tune into the World Cup tonight, and we'll speak more about it tomorrow. God bless y'all. Amen.